I'll do this.
Oh, perfect. My name is Tammy, and I'm an alcoholic.
Tammy.
I'm so nervous. Oh my gosh. Um, Tammy, and I'm an alcoholic. My experience, strength, and hope is I grew up in an alcoholic home in New Hampshire, and I guess like where nothing was quite where it seemed. That's what I would say about my home. Nothing was quite what it seemed. And um, at the age of like 11 or 12, I became the caregiver for both my parents. One was sick in the hospital. The other, their drinking went through the roof to self medicate, worry about his wife. And um, I don't remember if I was 11 or 12, somewhere in between there. I was keeping house and cooking and going to school and taking care of my mom. And the reason I think kids are so cool, there's lots of reasons, but when I was a kid, I just thought shit happens, it just happens. Nobody did anything wrong, and here I am, and I'm the only one left at home, and I know how to do this stuff. And I did it until it was too long, and I started to break down. I was always a kid who was anxious and discontent and hyper and crazy acting and very hard for my mom to raise. And the anxiety got so bad, I was having panic attacks and not being able to go to school. And I found alcohol. I went to a home party and I drank, and I hated the taste. And I continued to hate the taste of alcohol my whole drinking career. And I loved drinking it. And I couldn't get enough of it. And my first blackout drunk was at 17, and I loved it. I loved it. And I continued drinking. I was a binge drinker, and I continued for 35 plus years until um, my organs were all starting to break down. And I ended up in ICU for 11 days. And I was diagnosed with chronic liver disease and pancreatitis and thyroid disease and bradycardia, which is my heart rate was like 28 when I drove myself to the ER and walked on in and said, "Here I am. I'm not feeling too good." And I was in there for 11 days vaping. I was a vapor at the time, vaping under the sheets in ICU. I think I'm an alcoholic. So um, I got out and I was pretty sick for quite a while. And as soon as I got a little better, I had my last blackout drunk. And after being told, don't ever drink, don't ever smoke, don't ever eat gluten, there were a lot of don't evers. I had another blackout drunk. And my liver was so sick that I was really sick for about 48 hours with that one. And that's the one I hold near and dear because that's the one I woke up and knew I had had a blackout drunk. And I knew the definition of that word because my two adult children were in AA before me, which feels a little backwards as a mom, but that's my story. And she did a little 12 stepping on me, and I learned what a blackout was. So I went across the street when I was feeling a little bit better in about 48 hours. And I visited a neighbor that I knew had been in the program, and she took me to my first meeting, and that was July 28th, 2016. And we walked into this meeting. We were a little bit late, so I didn't have to say anything, but she kind of dumped me off and went to see her friends, and it felt like old home day back there. They were just all chatting and laughing, and their arms are going, and I'm wanting to die. I'm wanting to be invisible, and just as I was about to make my way into a chair, those like ice cold, nice rock hard metal chairs in the basement of the church, this woman was coming straight at me, and I'm thinking, oh God, no. She's going kind of a buck 50 across the floor. And did I just say a buck 50? I did say that. Okay. That's New Hampshire, I think. And she came up to me and she said, would you be our speaker tonight? And not sure how I didn't pass out, but it seemed like she was this close to my face, and her head was this big, and her mouth was this big, and it was bright red. And I said, I don't really know what you're talking about. This is my first forever meeting, and And she spun around and left. And I slid her in that chair. And the only thing I remember about that meeting was there was a prayer. And I knew there was this God thing in this program. And I was just going to kind of veer around that, right? And the meeting ended, and I saw an exit, and I beat it out to the parking lot. And what I saw out there makes me really emotional. There'll be some emotional things because I have a lot of gratitude tonight, every day now. There were clusters of people um, acting like they actually liked each other, you know? They were laughing and talking, and I couldn't imagine. I just couldn't imagine being in groups like that. And when the woman that took me, we got out of the driveway and I got on the road and I could actually breathe because I'd made it. I realized I was leaving with this little bit of hope, a little bit of hope that if it had worked for these people, and this was in my hometown, by the way, I had gone back to take care of my mom in her dying years. And so I was in there with people I'd drank with, people I'd gone to school with. And if it could work for them, maybe it could work for me. And the next day I went to my first meeting alone and said, Tammy, I'm an alcoholic. And I was really nervous to do that. And I had a big sigh that I had done it. Except this woman way on the other side of the room said, what was your name? And I thought, I hate you. I hate every single thing about you. And I will never change my mind. I'm never going to like you. And I said, Tammy. And she came up to me after the meeting. The only thing I remember was they were going to change the meeting to first step because there was a newcomer, and that was lovely. And then there was a prayer again. And she came up after and she took me to lunch. She asked me to go to lunch with her. And I said I would go. I was hungry and I was poor. And I had enough food to buy my dog's food. And I went to lunch. And I thought, who buys somebody a whole pizza? A slice or two, maybe. You know, I might do that, but a whole pizza? And I found myself laughing for the first time in a very long time because at the end of my drinking, I no longer wanted to be alive. So to laugh with somebody I barely knew was quite amazing and magical. So I got a sponsor. I went through the steps, and I refused God. I refused a higher power, which wasn't. I don't suggest that. I remained kind of a dry drunk for a while. And what is it like today? I'm going to jump forward to what is it like today. I have a sponsor. I am a sponsor. My sponsor, I think I finally found a match. I moved around a little bit. In AA, we love people, right? We love our fellows. We learned that we love everyone. And I'm no better or worse than anybody else in God's eyes. And so, yeah, I love my sponsor, but I like her and I respect her and I trust her. And she has asked me to see some really, really frightening things. And my answer has been, fuck no. And she sits very calmly and says, Tammy, I do remember asking you if you had the willingness to go to any length. And I'm silenced. What am I going to say, right? And I do the work. I do what she asks of me. And every time I do that, I walk through fear, I grow. And, you know, had I have told you before AA, if I met you, which you wouldn't have wanted to because I was like a natural disaster and I would have mowed you over if you went my way and I wouldn't have cared. But I would have described myself as a cold, calculated, rotten bitch. That's what I would have said about myself. And I don't care about anybody. But once I sobered up and I started, you know, working the program, I can remember my little self. I can remember that little girl. And she was kind and caring and loving and generous. And today that little girl has merged. We have merged. And that's actually who I am. I'm very loving and caring and kind. And would do anything for anybody. I would and I do, and they in return. So I have a higher power. Finally, I have a conscious contact with my higher power that I hold near and dear. It gets me through so many parts of the day, I am happy to wake up. I wake up happy and I want to live. And I love people. I have their faces in here tonight. Some of you I've never met, and I feel connected because that's what AA does. There are some that I've only met on the Zoom screen. Um, but the truth that we share with each other in these rooms, it's a deep connection, and I love you guys. There are people I've spent a lot of time with. I've met outside the Zoom meetings. You're my human lifelines. You really are, and I feel intensely whatever I feel. So when I love you to my very core. I love sobriety. I love being sober, you guys. I don't ever want to drink that toxic liquid again. That I thought was my solution. It really was the problem for a while. And then once I put the drink down, my thinking became my problem. And today, if I can pray, if I can stay in meetings, if I can stay in touch with my sponsor and my very good friends in here who have taught me so much, my thinking stays quiet. You know, I kind of can stay on the beam. And when I start sliding off, I know what to do. So I'm a grateful drunk, and I thought I'd never say that. I'm a grateful alcoholic today. And all those sayings that I used to think were so stupid, like it is what it is. And I used to think, genius, that's what you are. Or, you know, it simplifies my life, doesn't it? It is what it is. I can't do anything about it. And I love these things. So I now am one of the people that say everything I do is out in Alcoholics Anonymous, and to that I used to think, loser, I will never do that. It's my truth. Just about my whole life is Alcoholics Anonymous, and I just love you guys. Thanks, and we can talk again later because I'm done. I'm done.
That's awesome.